It was a cold winter evening, the kind that seeps deep into your bones and makes the world feel quiet and cruel. The city lights flickered against the wet pavement as cars rushed by, their tires hissing through puddles of rainwater. In the corner of a dimly lit street, a young man named Daniel sat in his car, waiting for the traffic light to turn green. His 6-year-old daughter, Lily, sat quietly in the back seat, her small hands clutching the edge of her pink blanket, her eyes wide as they followed something outside the window. Daniel didn't notice at first. He was tired, lost in thoughts about unpaid bills, long work hours, and how fast life seemed to be slipping away. But Lily's soft whisper broke through the hum of the car engine and pierced his heart. "Daddy," she said gently, her voice trembling with innocence, "she's hungry." Daniel frowned, glancing back at his daughter. "Who, sweetheart?" he asked absently, still half in his thoughts. Lily pointed outside, and Daniel turned his head. There, beside a flickering street lamp, stood a woman, thin, wrapped in a worn coat, holding a small boy close to her chest. The child's face was pale, his lips trembling from the cold. The woman's eyes darted around as if searching for something, maybe food, maybe hope. She wasn't begging. She was just surviving. And that one moment, that small child's innocent observation, changed everything. Backhand index pointing right. If you believe that kindness and second chances can change the world, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Spark. Your small gesture helps spread love where it's needed most. Daniel's chest tightened. He had seen people like her before, on the sides of roads, outside convenience stores, under bridges, but tonight, it felt different. Maybe it was because Lily saw her. Maybe because his daughter's heart was too pure to look away. For a moment, Daniel wanted to ignore it. He had his own struggles. His company was downsizing, his savings were thin, and he had just enough money to make it through the week. But as he looked at his daughter's eyes, the concern, the sadness, something inside him broke open. He pulled the car to the side of the road. Lily leaned forward, watching him closely as he rolled down the window. The woman turned slightly, startled, her eyes weary but alert. "Are you okay?" Daniel asked, his voice softer than he expected. She nodded, her lips parting as if to speak, but no sound came. The boy in her arms stirred weakly, and the truth became painfully clear, they hadn't eaten in days. Daniel hesitated only a second before reaching for his wallet. He didn't have much, just a few crumpled bills and a card. He handed her some cash and asked if she wanted a warm meal. Tears immediately welled up in her eyes. She whispered a thank you that barely carried through the wind. Daniel parked near a small diner and invited her to come inside. The woman's name was Maria, and her son, Samuel, was only 4. They sat at a corner booth, the boy resting against his mother's shoulder as they waited for food. When the plates finally arrived, steaming bowls of soup, warm bread, and a small plate of scrambled eggs, Maria's hands trembled. She murmured a quiet prayer before giving Samuel the first spoonful. Lily watched them eat with quiet wonder, her small smile growing with each bite they took. Daniel felt something he hadn't in a long time, peace. A strange, unexplainable peace that came from knowing he had done something right. As they ate, Maria began to talk. Her husband had died the previous year in an accident, leaving her and Samuel with nothing but a few belongings and unpaid rent. She had lost her job soon after, and when she couldn't pay rent anymore, the landlord threw them out. They had been sleeping wherever they could, bus stations, doorways, shelters when space allowed. But with winter tightening its grip, hope was fading fast. Daniel listened quietly, his eyes glancing between Maria's exhausted face and his daughter's innocent curiosity. He couldn't understand how someone could fall so far through the cracks. He thought of how close he had been to losing everything himself just a few years ago, when his wife passed away after giving birth to Lily. He knew pain. He knew desperation. But he also knew what it meant to have someone offer a hand when the world turns its back. After the meal, Daniel drove Maria and Samuel to a small motel nearby and paid for a few nights. It wasn't much, but it was something: warmth, safety, dignity. As they stood at the door, Maria's eyes filled again with tears. She whispered, "I'll find work, I promise. I'll pay you back." But Daniel shook his head. "Just take care of your boy," he said gently. "That's enough." When he returned to his car, Lily reached forward from the back seat and wrapped her little arms around his neck. "You're a good daddy," she said softly. But Daniel knew, it wasn't his kindness that started this. It was hers. Her simple compassion had saved 2 lives that night. Days passed. Daniel went back to work, but the memory of that night lingered. He couldn't stop thinking about Maria and Samuel. He visited the motel once to check on them, bringing groceries and warm clothes. Each time, Maria looked stronger, her eyes brighter. She had found part-time work at a nearby cafe and was saving every penny to rent a small apartment. One evening, after a long day at work, Daniel received a call from the motel manager. Maria had left a note for him. He rushed over, fearing the worst, but when he opened the envelope, he found a simple handwritten letter. "Dear Daniel and Lily. Thank you for seeing us when no one else did. You gave me hope when I had none. Because of your kindness, Samuel and I found a reason to keep going. I found a small job and enough savings to rent a room. I'll never forget what you did for us." Lily reminded me that innocence can see what grown hearts often miss. God bless you both. Maria. Daniel read the letter twice before folding it carefully and slipping it into his jacket pocket. He sat in his car for a long time, staring out the windshield as the streetlights flickered. That night, he realized something profound: kindness doesn't just save others, it heals the giver too. Months went by. Spring arrived, and life slowly grew brighter. Daniel's company offered him a promotion, and Lily was thriving in school. One afternoon, as they walked through the park, they spotted a familiar face near a playground bench. It was Maria, her hair tied neatly, her clothes clean, and beside her, Samuel was laughing, chasing bubbles with other children. She saw them and froze, then smiled, a smile so warm it felt like sunlight after a storm. She walked over, tears brimming, and hugged Daniel tightly. "I told you I'd be okay," she whispered. Samuel ran to Lily and handed her a small flower he had picked from the grass. "For you," he said shyly. It was such a small gesture, yet it carried the weight of everything they had been through. In that moment, the circle of kindness came full. Daniel realized that Lily's small act of compassion that night, just noticing someone's pain, had rippled outward and changed 3 lives forever. From that day forward, Daniel made it a mission to never ignore a chance to help. He and Lily began volunteering at shelters on weekends, bringing food and blankets to families who had lost their homes. Sometimes, Maria joined them. She often shared her story with others, telling them how a child's simple words, "She's hungry, Daddy," saved her and her son from the brink of despair. The story spread through their community. People began to notice more, to care more. Daniel received messages from strangers saying they had helped someone because of what they heard. Lily became known as the little girl with the big heart, though she never understood why it was such a big deal. To her, helping someone hungry just felt like the right thing to do. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Daniel stood outside their home, watching Lily draw on the porch. He thought about how one moment of compassion, one small, childlike voice, had changed so many lives. And he silently promised to carry that light forward. Because kindness isn't about grand gestures. It's about moments, fleeting, tender, and human, that remind us we are all connected. Backhand index pointing right. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Spark. Together, we can make the world a little softer, a little warmer, one story, one act of kindness at a time. Speech balloon special request: comment below what kindness means to you, and how you think one small act can change someone's life. As the night settled around them, Daniel looked at his daughter and whispered, "You changed the world, Lily." She smiled up at him, her eyes gleaming in the fading light. "No, Daddy," she said simply. "We did." And somewhere, not far away, a mother tucked her little boy into bed, full, safe, and smiling, because one child's compassion had seen her hunger, and answered it with love.